Good morning, everyone. I think it's Wednesday. Andrea, is it Wednesday?
It's Wednesday
Good
and
morning,
early in the
everyone.
morning, but it's
Yeah,
Wednesday.
it's Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I am Phylecia Jones, and we are here with our official CFO, Miss Andrea Jack.
Good
Hey.
morning.
And today we're going to talk about should you still send out invoices? Now, this is a very interesting conversation because some people are feeling the fear of sending out invoices. They don't think it's the right time. They think it's tone deaf. So we're going to talk about should you still send out invoices, especially as a solo business owner and as a small business owner. So if for those of you who are tuning in, like I said, I am Phylecia Jones and you are watching Ask the Budgetologist. We bring this show to you live every morning here on Facebook, and you can also catch us on iTunes and as a podcast and on YouTube. And we tried to talk about the very thin line that solo business owners walk between managing business finances and personal finances. But every Wednesday, we officially have our own CFO. Yay! Who else has their own CFO? I know. So what we're going to do today, please share this out to a couple of friends that don't send out invoices, who need to start sending out invoices. So, Andrea, are you still sending out invoices?
Heck yeah. Never stopped.
You never stop? It was
Never
just so
stopped.
interesting. So this conversation came from when I did the FreshBooks webinar last week, and
Right.
some people brought up this topic of, is it the right time to be sending out invoices? So I actually want to go backwards and get your thoughts. I have met business owners over the last few years that wait too long to send out invoices. Is this something that you come across in your practice when you're working with business owners?
Absolutely. And one of the things as we go along in this series, you're always going to hear me talk about your foundation. And putting invoicing in place is a part of the foundation of the business because that's how you get paid. That's your livelihood. And what I often see is because small business owners are using Cash App and Venmo, that they don't necessarily have an invoicing system in place. So
Okay,
remember, you have two beasts you got to tackle.
I gotta pause you. Wait a minute, I gotta pause you because you know my little stance on using Cash App and Venmo.
Ooh,
So
girl.
we're gonna continue this conversation about invoices, but I want to jump over to why you shouldn't be using PayPal Me, Venmo, Cash App to run a business. Now, I've heard the horror stories, but I want to hear it from you. And for those of you who are tuning in, this is Andrea Jack of DMP Financial Services. She is an accountant. And even though she looks like a baby, she's been in business for 16 years. So she's going to
Yes.
tell, we're going to talk about these cash apps and everything for business owners that operate that way.
So let me tell you, my students, they love to hate me, right? Because when we get into talking about this Cash App, and they're like, but it's the easiest thing. And I said, okay, so let me ask this. Do you guys have Macy's over there where you are, over in Colorado on that side of the world?
Yes, we
Tell me
do.
what's okay, perfect. So Macy's, if you go into Macy's, Macy's gives you the options that they want you to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the options that the customer wants. So why are you running your business for what your customer wants in the sense of how you're going to get paid? I mean, let's just talk about it for a second, right? And let that sink in. So when I walk into Macy's, Macy's says to me, "Okay, Miss Jack, you can pay us with cash or credit card. That's your only two options." Do I negotiate with Macy's? Like, well, listen, I don't have either. So can I cash app you? No, they're not here for that, right? Cash or credit. And if I really want the item that I'm trying to purchase, I'm going to figure it out. And that's what I need my business owners to take on, that mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, we always say you could be the best baker there is. You might make the best chocolate chip cookies. However, you have to have some business acumen that will allow you to make good financial decisions in your business. And so Cash App and Venmo for me are a major no-no. And one of the major reasons is we had a client, and let's just say she had two Andres in her phone. And so she was supposed to send me money, right? And unfortunately, she chose the wrong Andrea. And so what happened was she sent the wrong person money. And then because she didn't really know this person, trying to get that money back was like pulling teeth. That's just one horror story.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not have a poker face on that story. And I have, and just from a business owner, from my standpoint, is you can't track this. There's no receipts. There is, it goes straight to your bank account. Your bank account is wide open. So my background comes from, I learned how to hack and look into all these things. And I get people think I'm just being weird when I say I don't want to use those things. Like, send me an invoice. I was like, this is not how you do business, because even for me, you should still send out receipts to people to prove that they pay you. Plus, you need to be able to track it, because you're not going to be able to track all that money.
Exactly.
And I have heard the horror stories of people who let the money sit in their account. And if you lose your phone or lose anything, guess what? That money is gone. So what do you do? And I remember my sister told me that somebody tried to call her and ask, can you call your bank? And she was like, this seems to be your problem, not my problem, that you lost all your money.
How about that?
So,
and also too, there's no reporting, right? So in our world, in the accounting world, we like to be able to go back and say, can I run a report and show this is all the money that I made, right?
Yes.
And so with that, when you don't have that level of reporting, and then you got to go back to the person's name and count down what they did,
that just makes things a lot harder for you, harder for your bookkeeper, harder for your accountant. It's a nightmare. It is
very much so
nightmare. So for those of you who are joining, we are with our official CFO, Andrea Jack, from DMP Financial Services. And tonight she's going to do her sip and chat.
Yes.
So make sure you go and follow her on Facebook. We'll make sure we put the link down in the comment box. Of course, if you have any questions, put them down, because I'm just going to fire so many questions at her. So we went down a squirrel.
We did.
Down a rabbit hole.
We
because
did.
We're talking about invoices, and we were talking about the Venmos, the Cash Apps, and why you shouldn't really use those. And we probably should dedicate a whole show to that. But let's get back to the original topic of invoicing and why you should still do it. But we did talk about there are the business owners that said they'll get around to it later. And I assume that this is hurting a lot of business owners that took their time. Like, these are the people who would wait a month or two to send an invoice. I'm assuming a lot of business owners are feeling the hurt right now for those who weren't on it, sending their invoices.
Absolutely. So again, let's talk about foundation. One of the first things you want to do when you get your business up and going is you want to use a platform that will allow you to send invoices regularly. And so I'll give you an example. When we have someone sign up for services, bookkeeping, taxes, whatever it may be, if it's a recurring service, we set you up in the system so that your invoices automatically are sent on the first of the month. So again, it doesn't take effort from me more than one time, and that's to set that invoice up. So right now, all of our monthly clients, on the first of the month, they got their invoice.
Yeah.
On the first of the month, they were charged, because not only do we have that invoice set up, we also have you set up on recurring payments.
Now, is this the issue? Would you guess that some of the issues with sending out invoices right now is the fact that people don't have it automatically set up in their business?
No, I think the biggest issue is that, people, and I totally agree with this, people are taking into consideration that I may be doing a service for you, Phylecia. However, I don't know if Phylecia can pay this bill. That's the part of the thought process, right? And so when they think about, okay, I'm doing this service and she still wants this service, but I'm a little bit nervous to send the bill because I don't know if she can really pay this bill. As the business owner who is sending the invoice, yes, I want you to have that level of empathy. I want you to have that level of care. However, this is still a business transaction that takes a two-way street, right? Yes. And so what I would prefer you to do is, before you provide the service, have that conversation. Phylecia, I know I've been affected by COVID-19. How are things in your business? You answer the question, and then in that, you may say, okay, so do you still want me to provide my services this month, right? put your big girl panties on and have that conversation around what is going to happen, so that when you send that invoice, you have a level of confidence.
Oh, that's too much grown up conversation. Why we got to talk to people?
Because you're an entrepreneur, you're a CEO, right? You decided that you wanted to go on business, and when you go into business, you have to get paid.
So, all right. So for those people who don't have those systems set up to send out invoices, and they may feel a little weird about it, I mean, but they should still send them, right? I mean, they right
Absolutely.
now. So what? Okay, let's go back to the other side. I know the other conversation that was had around this, at least from my standpoint. Like on Monday, we talked about why business owners and even in your personal finances, you should be hoarding money right now because we really don't know what's happening. But when it comes to business owners, you really should have a good idea of what your revenue stream looks like. And if you haven't put in your invoices, if you haven't sent them, if you haven't even figured out who owes you money, you'll never have a good picture of what your business is doing right now, especially if you're going for the PPP loans and the EIDL loans. If you don't know what's going on, like how, that's one of my reasons of why you should still send out your invoices.
And I mean, even if we wasn't in a global pandemic, you should be sending out your invoices, right? This is just something that comes along with doing business, period. And so if you have that in place, it just makes it easier when something like this happens, because you already have a process that you're following. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so in this instance, I'll give you an example. Pre-COVID-19, when you are doing invoicing, and let's say that person didn't send you a 1099, you still need to report what your total revenue was, right? Whether you received the 1099 or not. So we have a client who has contracts with charter schools to provide substitute teachers. And for whatever reason, these schools do not send 1099s. And I'm not talking 10,000 or 20,000. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Wow. And they don't send 1099s. But guess what? Because we got this client into the habit of sending invoices, we know exactly what the client has paid, because when they receive those funds, they go in and record the payment against the invoice.
Yeah, well, so now that's why you need the system set up.
Absolutely. And that tackles, not only does that tackle the invoices being sent, but now you have a clear record of who owes me what, because you have now what we call an AR aging report, an accounts receivable aging report, right? And so that lets you know, okay, I have some money that's owed in this 30-day bucket, this 60-day bucket, this 90-day bucket, right? Am I going to get these funds? Should I be doing some collection efforts?
Ooh, that's a whole different show. That's a whole different show once you have your system set up. And for
once you have your system.
If you need help, if the unfortunate events that are going on right now are shining lights on some of the weaknesses in your business when it comes to accounting, budgeting, bookkeeping, please get the help. Reach out to Andrea. She has an amazing team, and I know you've been up all night like crunching numbers like crazy, right?
Yeah, we're working right now probably 12 to 14-hour days. Hence the reason why my voice sounds raspy the way it does, because all I do is talk all day. However, I know that people need help. And so our team is committed to getting you the help that you need, but you have to first be willing to ask the question.
Yeah. You got to ask the questions and be willing to get the help, because that's one thing, especially as solo business owners, we think we can do everything all the time by ourselves.
It doesn't work, guys. You will get burnt out.
And this is probably the one time you may need to reach out for help. So, Andrea, you can work with her company. I know she has bookkeepers, she has accountants, helping you with taxes, helping you go back 10 years ago and figure out what's going on with your business finances. She is definitely a fractional CFO. So if you need that in your business, or if you just need some, I don't know, hey, talk to me about my numbers, you could definitely do consulting with her as well. So we'll make sure we put the link down in the comment box so that you can go and follow her on Facebook and give her a call if you need the help. All right, so we've talked about the Venmos and the PayPal me's and why you probably shouldn't use those as ways to do business. We've talked about why you should still send out your invoices and just kind of like practical reasons of keeping up with everything. So how do we navigate for those who are deep in the sympathy mode of what is going on right now? How do you reach out to your clients to get them to pay you? Because it is so important now. So how would you even start that conversation?
Absolutely. So, the first thing is you want to be empathetic, right? And I've learned that being empathetic versus sympathetic are two totally different things, which is why I'm saying you want to be empathetic, right? And that comes with a level of care and understanding. And so again, hey Phylecia, how's everything going out there in the Midwest, right? Out in Colorado. Phylecia answers that question. Yeah, things are crazy here in Philly too. You share a little bit about what's going on, maybe how it has affected you. And so then you go on to say, well, let's talk about what our business relationship is going to look like during COVID, because there's so many uncertainties. So, and even in my voice, you can hear the level of empathy because we're both impacted by it as business owners, right? However, there are still jobs to be done. And be clear, not every industry is affected by this, right? So for us, we do a lot of books for home care, home health care. And so that has been a saving grace for us because they're not affected at all. They're in the health field space, right? And so they're still able to pay their invoices with no problem. However, someone who, like my daycare centers or my salon owners, they are totally affected by this,
Yes.
right? And they are not able to pay their invoices. So we're having two totally different conversations. However, it still comes with the same level of empathy.
I like what you said. And one, what I picked up from this is, one, I probably should reach out to all the clients, even the ones who are doing well and even the ones who aren't. They're kind of struggling right now. But you said some words of, I would like, let's talk about what our business relationship looks like during COVID. I like that instead of just like, hey, you gonna pay me right now? But I like presenting that conversation, just getting on the phone and saying, hey, let's talk about what this is gonna look like during COVID. Even if things are going well, you still want people to know, we're doing good. And because I'm learning that some businesses may not be able to hang in there. So I do love just starting that conversation of, hey, I want to talk to you about what our business relationship is going to look like during this time. So that's a good one. That's a good one, Andrea. You're good, girl.
And also making yourself relevant. So for me, doing these sip and chats every night, that's a level of commitment, right? However, I need to keep myself and keep my company in front of my clients and also gain new clients out of this. Because the goal is, guys, we're going to come out of this. And notice I said the word we because I'm including myself. We're going to come out of this stronger than what we were going into it, right? And so how do you get to reinvent yourself? How do you get to keep yourself relevant? And so I'm taking the time to make sure I stay on top of what's going on. The team is doing work to keep us up to date so that we can provide you with great information. What way can you do that to then help your clients as well?
That's a really good point, is to stay relevant. And that's one of the things that the message that we pretty much came to with my other company, iFind You Close, is that we got to figure out how to stay relevant. And it is staying ahead of your clients. I mean, the first part for me was to make sure my team was okay, because I can't do anything without them. And then it was like, all right, let's figure out how to get in front of this, in front of our clients in a way that's useful for them. So that it's been a blessing in disguise. So to really be able to focus on the people that I value so much in this business, and then, everybody else and all the clients and stuff. So I know we're getting close to time, but for someone as yourself, so we talked about all the things. Yes, you should still send out your invoices. Please do it. And we figured out some different wording that you can use on top of it. But just as a business owner, if you could sum this up into like 3 or 5 things that we need to really be paying attention to just as business owners to get on the other side of this, what would you tell us?
The first thing I'm going to tell you is stop and take a deep breath.
Yes.
In your nose and out your mouth, right? Because, people are in a place of a little panic. And we were talking this morning about fear, operating in fear. And so just take a moment to just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And in that deep breath, it allows you to bring yourself down to think about, what do I need to do to come out stronger? And that's the question you want to ask yourself. How can I reinvent what we do? How can I expand my streams of income? How can I build the connections, maintain the connections that I have and build new ones in this, right? And so a couple of things. You may be on social media because you're watching us. However, do you really have a presence on social media? Right now, social media is the place to be because that's the way people are communicating. And so one of the things that I always say to my students, if you're still looking to put your ads in yellow pages, then you are in the stone age. So if you don't have that presence on social media.
They still got yellow pages?
Girl, yes. Yes. Okay. And it's crazy because I still get one delivered to my office. It's the craziest thing. However,
what year do you live in?
Tell me about it. But guess what? Yellow Pages has yet to reinvent themselves. For real, right? Great example. Yellow Pages versus Yelp. That's a show topic right there. However, these are some of the things that you want to think about. Now, don't reinvent the wheel. Look at what some of your competitors are doing. Look at what some of the people in your industry are doing. And so I can share for me, we were already offering advisory services, right? And so we were already ahead of the curveball. But for my peers who are not offering advisory services, who are not trying to help their clients through COVID, they're not going to come out better than what they were when they went in. Because now, more than ever, people are leaning on their accountants, their tax preparers, to provide them with good financial information.
I wonder how many. Now, I have to admit, Andrea is not my tax accountant yet, but I will say this: mine has been ghost.
And I didn't even know that, guys. So that's a great example, Phylecia.
I haven't even heard from them. I haven't even gotten I think they sent an email, but there's been no phone calls like, hey, how are things going? Nothing. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people whose bookkeepers they haven't heard from. I mean, granted, let's make sure, everybody's healthy. They're not going through their own stress dealing with this. But I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people that have not heard from some of the essential core things that they need in their business, which is unfortunate, which is very unfortunate.
And what I will say is it also depends on how you've built relationships. So one of the downsides for me is in an instance like this, my clients expect me to be the one to pick up the phone and call. That's a lot for me as one person, right? And so the mode of communication that I've chosen is to utilize social media and going live. So when I go live, you still have that opportunity to talk to me, but it just won't be a one-on-one conversation because that would take up too much time. And I'm still trying to also service clients at the same time, right? But you do want to have some type of communication. So we've been working on building out our CRM so that we can get our email blasts together. So there's some things that are happening in the background for us to really make sure that we're communicating efficiently. And so in the meantime, the commitment was I'm going to go live every night to make sure that I am touching and people can hear my voice and understand what's going on.
And I have a feeling you probably set up some level of communication at the beginning of your business. So this is just communicating a little bit more on the platforms where people are versus where I've run into a lot of bookkeepers and accountants. Like, why do I need to talk to people? They come to me, and it's like right now may not be the best may not be the
That
best
is
thing.
not the best approach, right?
Yeah. So Holly is watching us, and
Hi, Holly.
she's definitely saying that social media is the place to be. Holly, Holly runs a social media marketing company, so she's a little bit biased. But she was just saying your tips. This helps her so. This helps me so much to breathe with all the time I've been spending keeping up relevant messaging in this time, and that's been the biggest thing for us business owners. We have to still figure out how to be relevant, and then at the same time, we need to figure out how to operate and reimagine and reshape how we're doing business. So this has been, I would assume, a wake-up call for some of us business owners. Like I said, for those of us who are not being touched directly by this disease and this pandemic, I call this just a mini blessing as the wake-up call to get ahead of your numbers, know what's going on with your business, and take this time to slow down and set up those systems, because I have a feeling we won't ever have a time like this where the whole world slows down. Because we can force ourselves to slow down, but sometimes we force ourselves and the rest of the world's like, what's going on? But this is probably the one time the whole world is kind of like in an empathetic mode, so you can kind of steal away sometimes to get some systems in place. So I just tell everybody, take advantage of it, as long as everything's healthy in your house, but take advantage of it as much as you can, especially as a business owner.
Absolutely. I want to drop two things, Phylecia, before we end. One of the things you guys have to remember, we were already on this track to be where we are. It's just happening a lot faster than what we expected, right? And so what I see coming out of this is there's going to be a lot more Uber Eats and Grubhub that will pop up, right? Food delivery services.
Because we were already there. I took a while to convince you to go there.
Very much. Listen, I'm not even going to tell, but she whipped me right into shape, y'all. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
she whipped me into shape.
No, why are you going to the grocery store?
This, right? Which was great, because that's what you're supposed to do for each other. However, I know here, I don't know if you guys see it out there where you are, but here, a lot of our distilleries are making hand sanitizer.
Oh, yeah. We're in beer capital of the world, of course.
Oh, my goodness. So, again, these are companies that are reinventing themselves. Now, here's the other thing. In the grand scheme of things, if I'm a distillery and I'm now making hand sanitizer and realize this has become a new stream of revenue, you think I'm going to stop after COVID-19? Absolutely not, right? And so now they just figured out another stream to add to their already booming business. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that you guys want to talk about. Also, the other thing is what the world looked like prior to March 15th, give or take, is not what the world would look like when we come out of COVID. Mm-hmm. That world is gone as we knew it. And so don't think that, okay, when all of this is over and I'm no longer in quarantine, I can go back to business as usual, because that is not the case. Mm. I know for us here in Philly, our schools are closed for the rest of the school year.
Yeah, same here.
Same there. Okay. So that means now, let's say we come off of quarantine May 1st. How do I now bring my team back together, especially for those who have kids and they may not have daycare? Do you see where I'm going with it? Yeah. So I'm just dropping some things for you guys to think about, because how your business looked and ran pre-COVID-19 is not how it's going to look and run post-COVID-19. All those restaurants that didn't want to do delivery services, mm-hmm. they're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I'm just encouraging you to figure it out as well. Yeah. Exactly.
So thank you so very much for all of these tips of wisdom. Of course, you're going to be back with us next week, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be here.
You ain't got nowhere to go next week.
Nowhere to go.
But here. So for everyone, if you do need help, please reach out to Andrea, DMP Financial Services. We're going to put her Facebook business page information down in the comment box. For those of you who are listening to the podcast, it's going to be in the show notes, so you can go get it there. And on YouTube, it's going to be right in the description. So you can reach out to her and find her if you need help, if you need advisory services, consulting. I don't know, if you just need some sip and chat and have the real of what's going on with the numbers by the time we get off the air and nighttime appears. because what happened, this was another interesting thing during the press conference by the White House yesterday. A lot of people did not realize that the $1,200, $2,400 stimulus check, that is just a tax credit on your 2020 taxes. A lot of people were like, wait a minute, what? Like, what is this? And even Dustin told me I think he read something, or he was saying that even if you get this check and however they do the calculations, and if your salary comes out very differently next year, you may have to owe if you got too much from that stimulus check. So I think a lot of people are just realizing, the government doesn't give out free money, do they?
Nothing in this world is free. And so I actually talked about this a little bit last night on our sip and chat. So every day, Monday through Friday, I do a sip and chat during the hour of 6 p.m. And we're actually getting ready to put together a PDF document that's going to explain it in detail. So definitely go over like our Facebook page. At some point today, we will have that document up, and I'm going to put it in where I did the video yesterday, in the message of the video.
Can you come back and put it in this comment box as well?
Sure, absolutely. I can do that for you. I was leaning towards, because we got a lot of conversation about that last night. So I may do a complete video just on this stimulus check.
You should.
If not tonight, maybe tomorrow.
I think
that there's been a lot of questions.
Because I think a lot of people I think people heard about it. You know how you hear about it? Oh, we're going to get it. Now we got like, whoa, wait a minute. What?
Right. And it is a refundable credit. So yeah, I may do that this week. Maybe, what's today? Wednesday. Oh, Jesus, today's Wednesday. So maybe Friday I can dedicate that just for the stimulus check, because there is a lot of questions around it. And let me just say this, guys. If you filed your taxes, you should be getting your stimulus check by Friday.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people, they're showing up in their direct deposit, which is cool. So
you should have it by Friday. So at least the first phase. So that'll be good to hear.
Yeah. So everyone, we're going to make sure we put the sip and chat link down in the comment box. So if you want to go hear all the things about the stimulus check, and if you're one of those folks that's just realizing that you are getting a stimulus check and that it's going to be a tax credit on your 2020 taxes, you probably want to follow this conversation. So she's going to talk about it, because it is kind of, I understand what it's like when somebody gives you some money, then it's like, so now that you cashed that check, let's talk about everything else. Like,
all the implications of it.
I know. Like, I thought this was free. Like, no. We need your left leg when you're done. So Andrea, thank you so very much for joining us. For everyone tuning in, thank you. She'll be back next week, and we'll have more money questions, because this money thing doesn't stop after COVID.
It does not.
So we'll talk about more money stuff, and we'll figure out what else we need to say. So if you have any suggestions, or you have some burning questions that you want to ask our official CFO, just let me know, and we'll make sure we get it to her, and we'll bring it to the show. So Andrea, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. I'm about to run out of a voice, and this is amazing. It stopped snowing here in Colorado.
It was snowing?
Oh, yes, it was. And it's supposed to snow again. Spring in the mountains. There you go. All right, everyone. Take care. Happy budgeting. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Bye.